Good morning everybody, or good afternoon if you're doing your geography work in the afternoon. We're going to quickly recap some of the things we've been learning about so far in geography, and then we're going to be having a look at describing some of the things in Whitby using what's called an Ordnance Survey map. We'll be having a look at what that looks like in a minute. So first of all, we're just recapping our compass directions, and I'd like you to read what the little boy's saying on the screen, remembering where and how we can make things slightly more accurate when we're describing our compass directions. And now just another quick challenge before we begin. So this is a grid reference recap challenge. So the code is given at the top, and I'd like you to use the grid to find the letters that you need using the grid references given. And eventually, when you've got all the correct letters, it will produce a code. So for example, then the first code grid reference is here, 1264. So remember, we go along the corridor first to 12 and up the stairs to 64, and that would be G. So the first letter would be the letter G. So that is just another little challenge for you, just to recap our work on grid references. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to having a look at some features of maps that are drawn. So we are looking at the board now at an example of an Ordnance Survey map. Now, because there's so many different things in different villages, towns and cities, we don't always have enough space to write the words on, and that is where different symbols, colours and shapes are used so that the reader understands the map. So the different coloured roads mean different things depending on how major the roads are. Sometimes there is a key alongside the map so that you can work out what the symbol might mean. Also, you'll find abbreviations. So for example, on this map here, we can see SCH here, and also it says SCHS here. So they're abbreviations, and you may have guessed that means schools, but you can see how SCH is much smaller and can fit in the map easily than writing the whole word school. So we often have a look at lots of different symbols and come across lots of different symbols on maps. Now we're going to be focusing on the blue symbols today. So we've got a few blue symbols here. We can see boat trips, we've got a star, think about what that might mean. And we've also got like a little building here, and actually we can see above the word palace. So I would imagine that that represents a palace. So what we're going to be doing is having a look at a map of Whitby, and in the Seesaw app there is going to be a key for what all the symbols mean, and we're going to be trying to describe some different parts of Whitby and the features of that town. Before we have a look at Whitby, we're just going to have a look at some of these symbols that are on the board. So I'd like you to use the key on Seesaw to work out what these represent. Before you do that, you may like to have a look at them and have a guess, because often they look very similar or represent something you would associate with the actual thing that they are. So you don't need to think outside of the box, you're just trying to think, well, what might that be that could be in a geographical location? So have a guess first of all, and then use the key on Seesaw to see if you are right. Right then, so here is Whitby, the location that we are reading about in room 13. So on this map we can see all sorts of different symbols. We can also see it's covered in grid references. We can see the eastings, although we can't see the northings right now, but that doesn't matter because we're not concentrating on those today. But it's important to note that they're there. We can see different colours we can see lots of different symbols and also abbreviations. What you're going to be doing today is using the key to work out what these different symbols represent. So I'm just looking, for example, at this one here. There we've got a symbol. It doesn't tell me what it is. That's just a symbol to show that there is something in that location, and I need to use the key to find out what it is. So that one, I would look at my key and it would tell me that that is a caravan site. So what you're going to do today is, first of all, make a list of all the different symbols and things you can see. So for example, I can see a caravan site, I can see an abbey, there is P, this P here. You'll have seen this before potentially. I'm not going to tell you what it is. What does MUS mean? What are these little symbols here? What about this symbol here? Can you work out what that is? Do we know what this is here? This purple path, you could work out what that is. We have SCH again there. We've got this semi here. Here we go. So we've got all sorts of different things, look, that we could be looking up. And I'd like to first of all make a list of the different things you can see. And then after that, I'm going to ask you to use your compass directions to work out and describe some things in relation to others. So for example, these here, what are those? Now when you've worked out what those are, you may say, well, they are, I'm not going to tell you what they are, to the north of the abbey. But actually I would probably say, to be even more precise, we can see this is an abbey here. When you've worked out what they are, you would maybe say to the northwest of the abbey there are da 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 da. So I'd love you to write 5 sentences with compass directions that compare where 2 different places are. Okay, so your task is to use the symbol key, which we said was in Seesaw, to write a list of the different things you can see in Whitby using the symbols and colours and abbreviations. Your challenge is to use compass directions accurately to compare 2 places that you can see for the symbols for by writing 5 different sentences. An example of a sentence might be, the caravan site is to the west-southwest of Saltwick Bay. So there I've used a 16-point grid reference, haven't I, which is even better. The map is following on again after this if you would like a larger version of that map of Whitby. I look forward to seeing all of your work.